Well, howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Now, you might be thinking, Phonic, why are you trying to be the next Chris Angel? Okay, well, the weather was a paid actor in that case, which I would say because I'm a little aggravated. Now, honestly, it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but because basically, I just spent the last 2.5 hours ish um, recording a video, doing some more stuff, like extending the drill and more, and the audio um, got corrupted or didn't get recorded anyway when I went to edit the video. So we, as a team, are going to go through a quick overview of what I've done in the last 2.5 hours ish. Sound good? I think so. So first off, yes, we did fix the drill. Um, Minus the bush. The bush is here to stay, I guess. I don't know. So is the tree, apparently. Um, but we upgraded it a little bit to include a second drill head. Now, everything else is pretty much the same. We just kind of made it a little higher because we have some base plans and they need some height. The next thing is we finished up our little miner. We added some more thrust just to give it that little bit of lift. And then I moved the cargo container down to match this bottom battery. That way we could put another battery up top. Basically it. And then we have the extra thrust to kind of compensate for that. We also went over how to find ore deposits. Now, I will go over those really quickly, but if you would like to skip past that part or you already know how, by all means, timestamp will be in the video. Now, to find ore deposits, what we're going to want to do, I'll go over here so we can get some nice light. This hillside should work. Okay, so if you have F8, you can come on up into the clouds. Now on consoles, this will be a little more difficult because you kind of can't use F8 without being in creative mode, but you're going to be looking for the same stuff. It's just easier with F8 because you don't have all the foliage, like the grass and the bushes and all that kind of blocking your vision. What you want to do is look for the dark spots. They kind of come up as like a black or a gray, kind of like this. You can kind of see mixed in the brown here that there's like gray, almost like polka dots. Actually, over here is a really good example. You can kind of see it when the trees fade out on. So on the left hand side, and I'll kind of circle it in editing, you can see the gray spots. That's the ore deposits we're looking for, at least on Earth-like. The ones on different planets could have similar colors, but they could also be different. So keep in mind, especially on modded planets, depending on the author and who or how they go about it, it could be different colors, but it should all be similar in style. Just a cluster of dots, basically. Look for gray. That's going to be your easiest way to find them. Now, to figure out what's in those ore deposits, sadly, you have to get up close to them with an ore detector and see what's in them. I mean, that's going to be the easiest way to do it. And that's exactly what we did with the miner. Now, the other thing we've done, once I figure out where our little home is here. Where's our home? There's our home. The other thing we've done is actually build some large cargos and, oh god, a refinery and assembler. Now, when I went looking for ore deposits, I was focusing on cobalt first. Because if we go back into first person, we can see if we pull out our welder, large cargo containers take 24 metal grids alone. Okay. Now if we go over to the refinery, 20 metal grids. Assembler, 10 metal grids. So we needed the cobalt to be able to make all this stuff. There isn't any metal grids in piping, but we also needed the iron to be able to make all of these parts. So we needed to go mining. Now, I also went over Izzy's inventory system and programming blocks in the video that I can't use. But I don't think there's too much to go over with it, honestly, or to do it again, because looking back at that, consoles really can't use programming blocks all that much, and everything Izzy's can do, you can do manually. It would take some work, and if you would like a dedicated video on that, as far as like sorting systems in conveyors, like sorting in conveyors into large cargoes, that way it gets pushed into specific refineries or assemblers. Same thing with O2s, organizing cargoes with, sorters and stuff like that. Let me know. If you would like to see a dedicated video on it, I'd be happy to show you guys how to do that. It's just Izzy's inventory system kind of simplifies that. So if you don't have scripts, I'm sorry, but I will definitely go over that if it's something you want to see. Just let me know down in the comments below. But that is pretty much all we did last time. Well, in the video I can't use. Now, this video, now that we're finally at this point, I want to kind of start going over base ideas. Because now that we have a full refinery and a full assembler, we can kind of start imagining what our home is going to look like. Whether it's going to be here or somewhere else, that is up to us. Now, I like being able to go on this, basically a hillside like this, and kind of do a mixture of inner base, outer base type thing going on. Basically what I'm thinking of doing is building half of the base inside and then half of the base outside. And hopefully that makes sense. Because what I want to end up doing eventually is having basically like a missile silo almost, to the point where we have why'd that come up? That was weird. Basically to the point where we have like a giant hole in the ground, and that will hold our ship that we take off to space. And then when we come back, Izzy. The bad thing about Izzy, it takes my bottles. Thank you. So, the missile silo, I want it to kind of be like right here-ish. Or farther up. We'll see. Because, there is a hilltop we could go to. But the missile silo will go pretty far down. And I want it to hold our ship that we're going to take to space. And then when we come back, we can have like a garage door opener where the silo opens up. We can come down on our boosters, land in the silo, and merge back up. I think it'd be pretty cool. Because we can use stuff like the broadcast controller and event controllers and stuff like that nowadays to make half of that automated and make things look pretty cool. But to do that, I was going to give you guys a little tip on building in the ground. So when it comes to something like this, where I want to build something into the ground, I want to make sure I have straight lines. So I don't want to be digging too far, like on the voxels, to the point of I have a block here and the wall is all the way over here. Does that make sense? So the easiest way to do that is kind of by using a projection. And I built this little stem at the end of the faulty video, but I will go over it again, um, and let you know what it's going to be used for. So basically what happens is we need to figure out how wide our entry point is going to be. And I'm thinking around about 17 blocks, because that would be a pretty good center point of this area that I have dug out at the moment. It's not centered on the base. It's actually centered kind of where the hinge is. But it's about 17 blocks. Now, we put this little stem here because we want to build that 17 blocks out to the side, and then we're going to kind of put arms on it. And we're going to blueprint it. But we don't want to blueprint our entire base. That would be kind of pointless, because then the entire base would be kind of moving into the hillside every time you do it. So, what we do instead is we have a little stem with a merge block, right? And then we go ahead and we put another merge block on it. And then we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we get rid of this tree because it's in the way. Okay. And now I went 8 each side because 8 plus 8 is 16, plus the one in the middle, 17. So, I want to weld this up. Make sure, yes, that is the only thing. Oh, God. DPI. Relax. I want to weld this up just so I know that this part of the grid is powered. Just to ensure it. Should be good. Now, one thing I'm going to do is make sure this cannot move after we detach it, because we are going to detach it from the main base once we get this done. So, just something like that should be fine. As long as it's in the voxels, we'll be good to go. Now we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Something like that should be fine. And I have no idea how much this is, so don't ask me. But what I will do is try to mirror it on the other end, because we want our worlds to look relatively similar, right? I think so. Yeah. That should be good. And then we will just connect these up. Kind of like that. Beautiful. I think that should be okay. Now, what we can do if we're feeling kind of... what's the word I'm thinking of? Ambitious? Yeah. I think ambitious is right. We could put rooms on this as it sits. If you have the room after your... say this is kind of like a cliffside. You can put rooms on either side and not necessarily have to worry about breaking through the top here. But because this is a relatively shallow slope, I don't want to put rooms on the first segment just yet because I do have a risk of poking through the top. And I don't want to do that. So we'll leave rooms off of this one for now. But I will, however, go ahead and turn both merge blocks off. Just like that. And that should disconnect them. Now, just to guarantee it, I will go ahead and grind this one away. Kind of like that. And then we want to blueprint this thing. So if you hold Control and press B, yeah, blueprints it. Now we can rename it to Tunnel Entrance, we'll just say Boundaries. Good. And then this button up here looks kind of like a funnel. If we hit that a couple times, you'll have your first one. Good to go. So let's go ahead and merge this back up. Unable to place. Of course we are. There we go. Good, good. Now that one is gray because it's technically turned on, but the other one's not. So if we go back in here, go to merge. Of course, you're not going to do it because this one's not on the same grid anymore. I got to take you completely away. Hold on. There you are. Making this very difficult for myself, and I'm unsure why. There we go. Now it won't despawn on us, and we can change it as we see fit. But now, we are going to need something. And I think that is fully extended. Yeah. I think our drills and pistons are fully extended. So let's go ahead and stop those. Are you even still taking dirt away? Very little. Okay, yeah, you're done. So let's go base drills off. Base drill pistons. Reverse. Let's do drill hinge lock. And then we want our event controllers to turn off. And then same thing with our timers, because we don't need them on at the moment. I am in the way. There we go. Beautiful. I like it. So the easiest thing that we can do is put a projector onto the base. So a cool thing about the projectors is in the latest update, they actually got these texture updates. So you now have a red L for the left and a green R for the right. So we can put the big white dot towards the front, kind of like that. And we can weld it up. Very good. Now in the projector, without my voice cracking, we go to blueprints. Our first one should be tunnel entrance boundaries. Now we want to hit key projection. We're not going to be welding on it, but we do want to make sure we can see what we're doing. No, this is where it's going to get a little kind of complicated. But we can do a forward offset. And you see how it's kind of 90 degree here? That tells me it's flipped somehow. So there's our merge block. Well, it's flat that way, and it might take some fiddling to get it the right way. I need a better view of it is what I need. Yeah, let's do it this way. Because we can go in the control panel, and if we find the projector, we can do the same thing. So let's set these back to 0. And now we can see it is the right way around. Yep, kinda. Let's see what that looks like. No, we want to go. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll try 7 first, just to see. So make that 37. Yeah, that should be good. And then we will go down, let's say 1. So vertical 1. Ooh, apparently it's upside down. So this way 1. I don't know why I'm coming all the way back here to do it. I can do it in the drills. That's not so bad. So I can live with that. I think that'll be good. Cool. So now what we need to do is actually branch over to here. Let's go ahead and grind this stuff down because we're not gonna need it much more. It was mainly just to get us started. So now that we have a way to get actual ores, we should be okay. Oops. And get this last one. There we go. Now, I need steel plate back. Yep. We should be able to kind of bridge over. And do that. So, we know our starting point is here. Kind of like that. Yep, just like that. Beautiful. So, next thing, we can go through and always kind of just watch how far we are from this one block. And we'll be able to see it thanks to our projection. So we can always guarantee we're going at least in a straight line. Now, this is one way to do it with the hand drill. You can just keep going, turn your lights on so you can see things. But where's the fun in that, right? I don't see one. Because this would take forever. So, what we're going to do is build a little dedicated miner that its whole job is just to do this. That's it. I would use this one, but well, let's see. I want to show you. All right. And there we go. There is room 1, or at least entrance 1, to our silo. Oh god. There's a slamming into the connector here. Now, you can see how much faster that is with an actual miner. And then once you're done with that, you can kind of come back in and maybe clean up a couple of the little spots that got dug up. But for the most part, it's a lot faster. So I highly recommend doing that. Maybe with not such a big miner, but you get the idea. As long as you're careful, pay attention to where your lines are, you'll be alright. Now, the next thing I want to do, while I'm kind of cleaning up a couple edges here, ooh, what was that? I don't know. Is kind of plan out where stuff's gonna be, because it's all fine and dandy to have a big hole in the ground, but if you're not gonna put anything in it, then what'd you do it for? That's just no fun. So what I want to do is make the entrance first, and then kind of go from there. So what we need, let's get rid of our LCDs here, and let's go to Windows, and let's get the different kinds of windows we can have. Actually, let's start with, that's 1x2, 1x1 flats, 1x1 face, 1x2, 1x2, 2x3 round, and then these ones. We can get rid of the graded ones. That'll work. Cool. So let's see what 2x2s look like. 1x2s. I'm sorry. The slopes, anyway, because I want to see how far up they go compared to, say, the ground above them. if planned right, yeah, kind of like that. So the idea being you have like the pillar here in the corner. It's actually gonna be something like that. And something like that. I think that could look pretty good. So then it gives it like a little mysterious underground base type vibes while being aesthetically modern. Yes, I just did that. And I apologize. With every fiber of my being. We need to leave some space in the middle, so I'll leave like 3. Yeah, I think so. Cool. Because then... yeah, because then it can go like this. Scroll up. And fill it in. Now the ones on the ends should not need done. These ones here. I accidentally... Ow. I accidentally... No, I didn't. Okay, we're good. Yeah. I could see that. Kind of. I like it. Might have to work on the corners a little bit, but otherwise I think it's okay. Alright, now that I got energy filled up, this is what I got so far. Still have the weird corners. Still not sure exactly what I'm going to do with those. Might change them into like pillars or something, but we'll see. But we got our doorway. You can see it will be quote unquote an airlock. Not a true airlock because I don't have anything venting or pressurizing it, but it'll be a 2-door setup at least. Kind of a tight one. But then we got our basic, what do you call the front of a house or base? I don't know, front facing wall. That one. It's got a lot of glass. I like glass. I like windows. You'll realize that real quick. But it also has kind of a contour to it to where when we get the shape of it the way that we exactly want or that we like, what we can do is cut the rest of this dirt back or kind of leave it overhanging depending on what we think looks good. I'll probably still cut some of this back because that comes to a pretty deadly point and I don't feel like dying on those. But you can kind of bring it back a little bit to either expose a little bit of the base because of this contour that it has up on the top. You can kind of make the ground kind of blend into that, or you can just leave it overhang. I mean, your base, do as you see fit. But I also have kind of this random line of blocks, which isn't necessarily random, but it's outlining kind of how far I want the front entrance to be. Now, this is kind of huge for kind of a starter base, but I'm thinking kind of like a meeting room or like a lobby type thing. Something like that, to where you can come in. Game lag. Why do I have 2 unknown signals? Oh, that one must be a glitched one? 27, right? I'm gonna guess 27. Beautiful. But oh god, when it comes to the front entrance, I want it to be grand enough to where it's kind of like a hotel in like lavishness. Yeah, that one. And you're gonna have like tables and chairs and couches, maybe a couple TVs, and then you'll have your back entrances with security and reception kind of against this wall. And then you'll have your two doors or one door, depending on how I want it. But then everything else is going to be back here, or at least to the main section. And then as far as like the, oh god, production and assembly stuff go, I haven't decided if I want that underground yet or not. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. Cargo will probably have to be underground. That's kind of a given. That way it doesn't get shot. But I don't know if I want refining and assembly underground or kind of have their own little buildings out here. You guys let me know in the comments down below if you think one way or the other. I'd like to hear your opinions on it. But the other part is we're going to need some lighting in here too. So I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, jeez. Lag. What is going on? Stop it. I'm going to go ahead, finish laying out the floor of this, and then we're going to do a little bit of welding. So, bear with me. Stop it. There we go. So bear with me. I'll be right back. Nice. Alright, so we should... Not what I wanted to weld. I wanted this one. Thank you. But we should just about be done. Oh, yeah, I gotta replace these. That's the whole reason I left them unwelded. There we go. I'm gonna leave these two, just so I kind of remember where the wall is. I mean, that'll help me, but I might end up getting rid of that, so we can place something else. So, I have the floor pretty much done, and we're gonna need to add some walls. But I realized I'm not really teaching you anything if I'm just doing things and skipping through. So, the one thing I want to teach you with welding bases is there is a couple different ways. The first way is, of course, by hand. And it comes in handy, don't get me wrong. But you're not going to necessarily learn how to do everything. Or you're not going to necessarily be able to weld everything by hand, or you might just get tired of it, to be honest with you. So, one thing we can do is get rid of the door. Perfect. And let's build a little mining ship. I mean, why not, right? Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to start by designing the thing first. And then we'll go from there, because I'm having a hard time figuring out how exactly this should sit. Because we should have something like that, and then we get welders out. Yeah, so if we get a 3-block center, it'll be wide. But we can get something like this, and be fine. I mean, technically, you don't even need 2 welders, to be fair. So, take that for what you will. I see how we can do it now. Okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it.
I got this. All right.
I second guess myself every time I say that. Let's put a battery. We're going to want to charge state up. Then what we can do is put our cargoes like that. And cargo like that. Oh god. And then welder. Welder. And then if we go back to our seats, we can get a buggy cockpit. Because like I said, we don't necessarily need parts into the cockpit, so we'll be okay. Now, fog disappearing. We do need to connect these. So let me get this stuff welded up. Especially the battery so it can start recharging. And we'll see how we can connect everything and get some thrusters on it. See what kind we're going to need anyway. There we go. And since my energy's low, I'm going to chill in here for a second. But it works out nicely. I think so anyway. Because what we can do too is put the thrusters kind of where the battery is, in the middle. Because we're going to need to extend those cargoes a little bit just to be able to connect them. And the reason for that is with welding ships, you want to be able to have large ports all the way through the ship. Because steel plates and some other components do not go through small ports. So we would need to extend this anyway to make it work. Oh yeah, that is a 2-box center, isn't it? I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because then we can do that. And then if we go to here, we can connect it like that. I think that'll work. Now if we get some thrusters, we want quite a bit of lift because this thing is going to be full of components which do weigh more than actual ore. So we definitely want the lifting capacity. And then we can put our gyro. Let's put it there. I'll probably want 2. Oh, can I really not place a gyro there? Okay. Fair enough. Uh-oh. Ow! Yeah. Critical. Made it with 1 left to spare. Okay, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by a hydrogen, that might be all we need, honestly. And you know what? I will add a second large battery, actually. There it is. To here. Just to keep things somewhat symmetrical. And that'll help us in the long run, too. And then I need to replace my gyros. So we can... let's just put them here. Nope, actually. I want my lights to go there. Or my flashy light, anyway. I mean, these are reverse of each other, so that should be fine, right? Yeah. I think that'll be okay. Because we can cover it up with plating or whatever. That's fine. That'll work. Then... I think that's about it. Yeah. I think that'll work. Now, this is very big for just a base ship welder. Normally, we would want something like one of these, which you wouldn't even need these two conveyor junctions then. So you would realistically have like the connector going directly to the medium cargo with a welder, and then maybe the battery and seat sitting on top, and then like a single gyro with your thrusters on it. But the reason I went so big is to kind of give you the idea of this is what you can use when building a ship. So, while yes, it might be a little big for our base here, this is the general concept that you would use for building your first large grid ship, which we may start to do in the next episode, actually. So I want to be prepared for that. And it'll be useful. So let's get everything welded up and we should be good. Let's have some fun. I have like no parts on me. Love it. There we go. I think that'll be pretty good. Yeah. I like it. Oh, for those of you wondering why I didn't just make these two cargo containers, is because... Oh, hold on. Okay. Now, the reason I didn't make these two on either side cargo containers is one, I needed this bridge point, and being a two-center ship, I need that big face without losing the large port connectivity throughout, but also because these can be upgraded to the cargoes later down the road. If the keen eye of you, if you know anything about space engineers, is that all these small ports that are all along this thing, which these have them on the side, can be used for hydrogen. So when we get a big enough ship that can take us to space, this welder can be converted to a hydrogen ship relatively easily, because you can put hydrogen thrusters on all these small ports, and you can swap out this right here with like a hydrogen tank, and then same thing with these two rear junctions, you can swap for hydrogen tanks as well. So it's just a matter of how you want to do it. After these get swapped to hydrogen tanks, you just add a couple more junctions behind it, and then your ports like this again. So it becomes very easily to make it modular, and it can be upgraded and changed out however you feel. But the time has come to see if it falls out of the sky or not. It dropped a little. I don't know if I like that. Nope. That should be okay. I imagine it will be. Yeah. I think we'll be fine. Now, The reason I don't have a bunch of thrust on this, which I may still have to add more based off the plumes of those thrusters, is because I don't want this ship being very whippy while I'm welding. Because when you're going up against stuff that needs to be welded, it's normally going to be in this state, which is its weakest. So slamming into it, bumping it, that can all damage it relatively easily, and we don't want to do that. So just something to keep in mind. I'm just going to call this the welder thrust. Welder gyro. Welder bats. Welder cargo. I don't think we're necessarily going to need those. So we'll take those off of there. And then we will change the name of this one, welder connector. And we'll put welder in front of those medium cargos, just so we know that that's what they are. There we go. And screw it. It's in front of the rest of it. But we gotta get this on a the hot bar, relatively quickly. So that way we can get this thing charging. Because we made a welding ship. We didn't necessarily give it anything to weld yet. And why do I keep going backwards? Because I keep hitting the wrong button. That would be why. Good job, Phonic. You're supposed to be a teacher. But the reason I made the ship without having anything to weld is so I can get it recharging. And by the time it has stuff to weld up, it'll be fully charged up. Which is nice. There we go. And lock. Charge. Thrusters off. Nice. Alright. Now, let's give it something to weld up, shall we? We got a wall to build. And we got a roof to weld up. Or to finish out, anyway. So I shall be back momentarily. Alright. I think we got it pretty much all laid out at the moment. I'm trying to debate if I want another pillar right there in the middle or not. I don't know. We'll see. As of right now, let's learn how to use a welder. So, first things first, we have to hop on in. Now, if you are using Izzy's inventory manager, one thing I recommend is going into the control panel of the connector that you're actually attached to on the base, so the base side connector, and putting in no IIM. And I think it has to be dash. Let's double check that for sure. Yeah, no IIM. So we'll just grab this. And then we want this connector. And do that. So that should keep Izzy's from taking anything out of the ship or putting into it. If we look, okay, our cargo container is still empty. So what we can do is grab all of our steel plates and put them in there. Now we have 500 steel plates. Let's see if this stays up. Oh yeah. We are definitely gonna need more thrust though. So let's go ahead and add that now. Nice. So I upgraded the thrust. Should be fine now. What I am gonna do, as well as that, is come over to Izzy's and say temporarily, I want 5. Oh, nope. I want on this side 5,000. You know what? Yeah, might as well. He's already in the process. Yep. So, you gotta be careful of what you put and for how long, but should be okay. But the main reason I'm doing that is so we can go over to our welding ship and just load it down with steel plates. And if we select our little rocket ship here, which is inventories of the current ship we are in, and then come over here, we can just grab all the steel plate that comes in and fill both of these cargo containers. That will make our job quite a bit easier, as we won't be making so many trips back and forth. So I'll fill up real quick and I'll see you in a second. Alright, so that should fill us up. Now we can auto on the battery, turn on the thrusters, and unlock. And you can see, even with the amount of thrust we added, those thrusters are trying. So we don't have much give left with them. So we want to make sure we are very careful as we're flying around. Now, as we use up those parts, it will become lighter. So I'm not too worried about welding time. Which, speaking of welder, we want to go to toolbox and put the welder on our hotbar. So that way we can turn it on. So, let's get to welding, shall we? Now, one thing I wanted to show with welders is you don't necessarily have to worry too much about not being able to reach blocks, because they will weld about a block and a half in front of them. So just keep that in mind. You can do about 2 blocks thick when doing like welding bases, welding ships, that kind of stuff. So don't be shy about putting the tips of the welder in there. And there you go. And getting everything touched up. Now I am rubbing on this side, so I might have to do the corner by hand. Starting to rub on the ground. Not cool, man. Cool. Alright. Well, looks like we got pretty much everything. Minus the few there, and then the few in the corners. So, I can live with that. Let's go ahead and back this out of here and get it on the charger. Never get used to that. Very good. We got the start of our little base going. And to be honest, this is a pretty good size. I mean, even if you wanted to just use this space, that would be pretty understandable. And yes, I left a big hole because that's where the welding ship is going to come through to do the next area. Plus, I need to get the grinding ship, or the drilling ship in here to be able to do the next area. So, I think that's it for now. We got quite a bit done this episode. May not seem like it, but, you know, considering this is the second time I'm recording this, we got our cargoes put in. We got our refinery and assemblers put in. I showed you Izzy's, and if you don't use Izzy's, be sure to let me know if you would like the vanilla version of kind of inventory management. That's really loud. So is that. Let's go up here. Let's be Chris Angel again. There we go. Which way's the sun? That way. Everything's so loud. But if you enjoyed today's lesson, be sure to let me know down in the comments. And also let me know what you guys would like to see, depending on any particular contraptions or how-tos and stuff like that. I'm always up for suggestions. I can do the very basics and kind of get you through understanding the game and how to play it, but I don't know necessarily what you guys want to see as far as contraptions and stuff. So by all means, let me know down in the comments. I am more than willing to teach you how to do different machinery and stuff like that. So just give me a little comment. Plus it helps us out. But with that, I'm gonna bid you all adieu and wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful day, everybody.